Hello, English learner. Welcome back to English Speaking and Listening Club. I am so glad you are here today. Something in your gut brought you to this moment. Maybe you just finished typing a long message, pouring your heart out, trying to make someone understand, and they replied with one word. Maybe, or nothing at all. Maybe you are sitting with your phone in your hand, rereading a conversation where you explained yourself for the 100th time, wondering why you still feel so empty, so unheard, so invisible. Maybe you are exhausted from justifying your choices, defending your feelings, proving your worth to people who look at you with eyes that have already decided. Wherever you are, whatever explanation you are rehearsing right now in your mind, I want you to stop, breathe, and listen to me. You are not alone. You are part of a family now, a family of people who want to speak English with confidence, with joy, with freedom. And today, I want to talk to you about something that might be breaking your heart. The painful habit of explaining yourself to people who do not care, the energy you pour into empty wells, the words you waste on closed ears, the dignity you sacrifice for understanding that will never come, and why stopping this habit will set you free. Let me start with a question. How many times this week have you started a sentence with "I just want you to understand"? How many paragraphs have you written trying to clarify your intentions? How many nights have you lain awake crafting the perfect explanation, the one that will finally make them see, finally make them care, finally make them validate your reality? And how many times has it worked, really worked? How many times has your explanation turned their indifference into interest, their judgment into empathy, their dismissal into support? If you are honest, the answer is close to zero, and yet you keep doing it. You keep hopping. You keep breaking yourself into smaller pieces, trying to find the shape that will fit into their approval. Stop. Please stop. You are destroying yourself for people who would not lift a finger to understand you, and you deserve so much more. I know why you do it. I know it in my bones. You explain because being misunderstood feels like dying. You explain because silence feels like agreement with their version of you. You explain because you were taught that good people make themselves clear, that love means being known, that if someone does not understand you, it is your fault for not explaining well enough. But these lessons were incomplete. They did not tell you that some people do not want to understand, that some people benefit from misunderstanding you, that some people have already written their story about who you are, and no amount of your truth will erase their fiction. These people are not your audience. They are not your judges. They are not even your enemies, because enemies at least engage. They are indifferent, and indifference is the coldest force in the universe. It cannot be warmed by your words. It cannot be moved by your pain. It simply consumes your energy and gives nothing back. Think about the last time you really felt heard, really felt seen. The person was probably quiet while you spoke. They asked questions to understand, not to challenge. They reflected back what they heard. They cared about your experience, not about winning the conversation. Now think about the people you are explaining yourself to now. Do they do these things, or do they interrupt? Do they twist your words? Do they make it about them? Do they hear your vulnerability and use it as ammunition? Do they nod while planning their response, their defense, their attack? You know the difference. You have always known. But you have been pretending that if you just try harder, if you just find the right words, they will become the person you need them to be. They will not. They cannot. And it is not your job to transform their indifference into care. It is your job to recognize it, to accept it, to stop feeding it with your precious life force. Let me tell you about a woman named Priya. Priya came to me when she was 32 years old. She was bright, creative, full of life, but she was shrinking. She told me about her family, how every holiday ended in tears, how she would explain her choices, her career, her relationships, her very way of being to parents who looked at her like she was speaking a foreign language. How she would write pages after every conflict, trying to bridge the gap, trying to make them proud, trying to make them see her, and they would reply with silence, or with criticism wrapped in concern, or with complete denial that anything was wrong. She was exhausted. She was starting to believe that she was unlovable, unexplainable, impossible to understand. We worked together for many months. Slowly, we untangled her need to be understood by them from her right to exist as herself. I asked her to try something painful, to stop explaining, to visit for one holiday and say nothing about herself, to answer questions briefly, to deflect attempts to draw her into justification, to let the silence sit where her explanations used to be. She was terrified. She felt like she was abandoning herself, like she was letting them win, like she was becoming invisible. But she tried it, and something remarkable happened. Nothing, The world did not end. Her parents did not change, but they also did not notice her silence in the way she feared. They simply talked about other things. They filled the space with their own stories. They were fine without her explanations, and she was devastated and relieved at the same time. Devastated because she finally saw how little her words had ever mattered to them. Relieved because she could stop trying, she could stop performing, she could just be. Today, Priya is different. She still loves her family, but from a distance. She does not explain herself to them anymore. She saves her words for people who receive them. She told me recently that the freedom she found in stopping was greater than any understanding she ever received from them. She said, "I realized I was not explaining to be understood. I was explaining to be allowed to exist. And I do not need permission. I exist. That is enough." This is what I want for you. The recognition that your existence does not require explanation. Your choices do not need defense. Your feelings do not need approval. You are not on trial. You are not applying for a permit to be yourself. The people who matter will understand without your essays. The people who do not matter will never understand, no matter how many essays you write. And the sooner you learn to tell the difference, the sooner you reclaim your energy, your peace, your power. But I know the fear that if you stop explaining, you will be misrepresented, that their version of you will become the truth, that you will lose control of your own story. Let me be gentle with this fear, but also firm. You never had control of their story about you. You never will. People believe what they need to believe to maintain their worldview. Your explanations do not change this. They just give them more material to twist. When you stop explaining, you stop participating in their fiction. You remove yourself from the casting of their play. And yes, they may continue to tell stories about you. But without your engagement, those stories lose their power. They become gossip. They become speculation. They become obviously incomplete. And you, meanwhile, are living, actually living, building a reality so solid, so undeniable, that their words become irrelevant. There is a difference between explaining and expressing, between defending and sharing, between performing for approval and connecting from authenticity. Explaining is about them. It is about managing their perception. It is about trying to control what they think. Expressing is about you. It is about releasing what is true. It is about inviting witness, not demanding validation. When you express to someone who cares, you feel lighter. You feel seen. You feel connected. When you explain to someone who does not care, you feel heavier. You feel exposed. You feel alone. Learn to tell the difference in your body, the tension of explanation, the ease of expression, and choose accordingly. I want to give you the language for this, because I know you need words to replace your old habit of justification. When someone asks why you made a choice, practice saying, "It felt right for me." When someone challenges your feelings, practice saying, "I understand you see it differently." When someone demands more explanation than you want to give, practice saying, "I have shared what I can." These are boundaries. These are completions. These are the words of someone who does not owe anyone a dissertation on their own life. Practice them in English. Practice them in your native language. Practice them until they feel like protection instead of rudeness. Your English learning is a perfect mirror for this. How many times have you tried to explain why your English is not better, why you made that mistake, why you need more time? You apologize, you justify, you defend your right to be learning. Stop. Your English is what it is. It is growing. That is the only truth that matters. Do not explain your accent. Let your progress speak. Do not defend your pace. Let your consistency prove you. Do not justify your mistakes. Let your courage to try impress them. The people who care about your English will celebrate your effort. The people who do not care will criticize regardless of your explanations. Save your breath. Save your energy. Save your dignity. And use it all for the work of becoming, not the work of convincing. Silence is your friend here. The ability to receive a judgment, a criticism, a misunderstanding, and say nothing. To let it hang in the air, unaddressed, undefended, unworthy of your response. This silence is not weakness. It is not admission. It is power. It is the statement that your peace matters more than their opinion, that your energy is too precious to waste on battles you cannot win, that you are done auditioning for people who never intended to cast you. Practice this silence. Feel its strength. Notice how the urge to explain rises like a wave and let it pass. Notice how the other person, deprived of your engagement, eventually moves on. Notice how you remain, solid, whole, unshaken. I also want to talk about the grief of this, because stopping explanations is a loss. It is the loss of hope that these people will finally become who you need them to be. It is the loss of the fantasy that if you just try hard enough, you will be understood, accepted, loved in the way you deserve. This grief is real. It is valid. It is necessary. Grieve it. Mourn the parents who cannot see you, the friends who cannot hear you, the partners who cannot meet you. Mourn the explanations that never worked, the efforts that were wasted, the love that was not returned, and then let them go. They were never going to work. They were never going to be enough, and you have better uses for your heart. The people who deserve you are coming, or they are already here, overlooked because you were too busy trying to earn the attention of those who do not care. When you stop explaining to the indifferent, you create space. Space for real connection, space for mutual understanding, space for relationships where you do not have to perform, where you do not have to prove, where you do not have to shrink or expand to fit someone else's expectations. These relationships are quieter, they are easier. They are true, and they start with you valuing yourself enough to stop begging for value from others. So here is your practice. Starting today, notice every time you start to explain. Notice the physical sensation, the tightness in your chest, the urgency in your throat, the need to be understood, approved, excused, and pause. Ask yourself, does this person care, really care? Have they earned my vulnerability? Have they shown they can hold my truth? If the answer is no, choose silence, choose brevity, choose I prefer not to discuss it. Choose to save your words for someone who will treasure them. Do this once, then again, until it becomes who you are, until your default is preservation, not performance, until your explanations become gifts given to the worthy, not taxes paid to the indifferent. If this message touched your heart today, if you felt the exhaustion of constant justification, if you are ready to stop breaking yourself for people who will not bend, then I ask you to do 3 things. First, like this video. Let me know you are here. Let me know you are done with the old way. Second, subscribe to English Speaking and Listening Club. Join this family of people who are learning that their words are precious, their energy is sacred, and their presence is enough. And third, practice this today. When someone demands explanation you do not want to give, when someone judges what they do not understand, when someone shows you they do not care, believe them. Say nothing or say little, and turn your attention to those who have already shown you they do, including yourself, especially yourself. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing to value yourself enough to stop explaining your value to others. I will be here next time. Until then, be silent, be brief, be free, and watch how your life expands when you stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never built for you.